Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical updates. Today is Wednesday the 4th of September and we will start with Nvidia, and that is not what is on the screen, so I'll just dig it out very quickly. Sorry about that. Here we are. Nvidia closed down almost 12% yesterday. Massive sell-off after being rejected here up at the 130, below the 180 pivot, and now we are below 110. We are below the 100 moving average. Let's just zoom in a little bit. We are likely to drop lower. The RSI closed just a few points above the 40 threshold. That will be key here the next couple of days. Can it hold or not? And if it can't hold, well, then we are likely to push lower in the coming days. On the weekly, we can also see here that we had a bearish engulfing there. We also had a bearish engulfing there on the weekly. So really two top patterns, indicators. There has been divergence on the RSI for quite some time, and the weekly RSI is about to break below the lower falling trend line. That could spell a little bit of trouble. So there is currently potential short-term, at least, down to the lows here from August at $90. So that will be key here the next couple of days. 102 is the first key support, and then down here 95.90. And that has, of course, also had an impact on the semiconductor index, as we can see here on the SOX, or iShares Semiconductor. You see it went straight through the supported 218.40 and really looks heavy. We had the bearish engulfing top and reversal here. The negative sentiment on the RSI, we are likely to see lower levels across the board on semiconductors. Moving on to indices, we can see here Nikkei that was rejected just below the 39,220 and is now below 37,330. That was also the trigger point here back in early August, and we are below the 200 moving average. Still negative sentiment. This is the future. By the way, it's not the cash index, it's the future. If RSI drops back below 40, expect increased selling pressure on the Nikkei. On the US indices, S&P 500 key support 5,501, just 5,500 really. And this gap area 5,455. If it closes below that, well, then consider the gap to be taken out, and further downside potentially. 40 threshold will also be key there, and then we have some supports here 5,375. Expect a little bit of rebound maybe today, but let's see. These levels here will be key. Nasdaq 100. The bearish engulfing top and reversal pattern still very much in play, as we talked about. Selling through below 19,000. We have some support here, 18,768, 18,654. And if we just very quickly look at the US NAS 100 CFD/future, actually touched the support 18,894 and currently trading below. So it looks fairly heavy at the moment, I will say. And if RSI drops below 40 and close below 40, well, then there's potential lower to this area around 18,000 and the 200 moving average. On the European market, also quite interesting development. Yesterday we had the bearish engulfing taking out 1, 2, 3 days of bullish trading. Well, this was not so bullish, but 3 days of trading. Closed just above the 49.07 support, and now we are below, selling through. And the next to be tested is 48.12. Could happen, but we have the 200 moving average giving a little bit of support here. So I think we will see a pause there if we dip down there, but please be aware of this top reversal pattern. That needs to be cancelled, meaning it has to be taken out to the upside at 49.87 for this to be cancelled. But top reversal pattern is in place and could develop into a bearish trend. Same picture on DAX. You see 1, 2, 3. Basically 4 days of bullish trading, and then it was just wiped out in one session. Despite positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, there is a risk that we could fall further. However, we have the 100 and the 55 moving average still rising, so it will give a little bit of support, and we can see DAX will now try to close back this gap here that created this morning. Let's see if we can do that. If we can't do that, then we could see DAX sliding low further. So I think there will be a lot of battle going on in this region here between 18,500 and up to the gap, meaning up to the lowest there, 18,731. Keep an eye on that, if you can close that or not. Amsterdam index also hammered yesterday to stop right on 907, taking out the previous days of bullish trading. And today, open below 900. It really needs to close back above 907 for upside to have any chance to resume. So that will be key here in the next couple of days. If it starts sliding lower and RSI closes below 40 threshold, well then expect the support here at 873 to be challenged. CAC40 ran out of steam just below, and we also have a bearish engulfing here, taking out the previous days of trading. Key support 74.64. And finally, the Swiss market back below 12,219. Can it close above or not? That will be key here today or the next couple of days. If it can close back above, maybe there's a chance it will crawl higher, and there's still a positive sentiment. And it is indicating we could see higher level, but this gap here needs to be closed. Euro dollar still holding on above this 38.2 retracement at 110.40, and that is key here the next couple of days. Can it actually bounce? And if it bounces, then it will move higher and push higher towards 112 and higher again. If it takes out the lows from yesterday at 110 at 25, then expect a sell-off down to around 109.50, 109.40 level. Euro sterling, not much to report, still holding on above 84. It has bouncing potential, but I'm not quite sure it will get all the way up to the 84, 85 level here. If it takes out 84, then expect a sell-off down to 83.75, 83.5. Cable, slightly lower, 130.45, 130.35. This correction level here, 38.2. There is divergence, so we should see a sell-off down to that, well, sell-off, but a sliding lower, and I still think it will do that before it is resuming uptrend, and I do believe it will resume uptrend. Also looking at the weekly, as you can see, we're actually still in a bullish trend on the medium term on the weekly chart. Dollar yen, well, it reached the 61.8 retracement, tested it twice and then got rejected, and now we are back down here. And I would actually remove this one so we can actually see, well, okay, where are we? Will it resume downtrend? Currently, RSI is spot on the 40 threshold and testing the lower rising trend line here. If it does close below, expect dollar yen to push lower and possibly also take out the lows here from about a week ago at 143.45, and then we are looking at levels lower than 142.5. Euro yen, key support 102. Let's remove this one so you can see 160 flat being tested. If it does close below, well, then expect the sell-off down to around 157, 156.45, possibly in this region here fairly quickly. So that will be key here the next couple of days. Aussie yen, currently also testing its support at 97.25. Dipped a little bit below. Keep an eye on it. If it has another go pushing lower below that, well, then expect the sell-off down to around, and well, let's add a retracement, and you can do that yourself. See, okay, there could be a potential down to, yeah, in this region here around 93.85, 93.65. These closing lows, not the dip low, but the closing lows over here in this region here, then would be likely for Aussie to establish an uptrend. 99.90 is the key level to look out for, key resistance. Sterling yen, well, it did break a higher and then it totally collapsed. So if it moves back above 192, then expect a push higher. But I think we will see a test of 188.93 support, minor support, and it probably will be taken out also. We have negative sentiment, there's no divergence, and if RSI drops back below 40, well, then it will support lower levels of on sterling yen. Aussie dollar dipped just below the support at 67. Holding on, if it has another go lower below that 67, then I think we'll see a sell-off down to around 66.5, 66, 40, 45 in this region here, where we also have the 100 moving average coming up, giving some support. 200 down here and 55 will also. So in this region here, before I see a fairly strong bounce. Dollar Canada. Strong move yesterday, and I think we could see it push higher to 135.90, possibly all the way up to the 38.2 retracement, but this is a strong resistance area. It was a strong support, now it's a strong resistance area. You can see the 200 moving average also there. The RSI currently back above 40, so I think it will push higher. Key will be, can it actually get back above 60? I'm not quite sure about that. If it moves higher than the 135.90, it will probably a spike and then a setback. Euro-Swiss rejected at the 38.2 retracement and is likely to test the lows here from late August at 93.50. And if it takes it out, which I believe it will, especially since we have RSI back below 40 threshold, and it's currently also dipping a little bit below the lower rising trend line there. So if we see both scenarios played out, that RSI close below the falling trend line, rising trend line, sorry, and below the 93.53, well, then expect a push towards 92.90, possibly lower. And dollar Swiss, more or less the same picture, really. Rejected at a 38.2 retracement and could resume downtrend. You can see also RSI being rejected there at 40. Couldn't really get back above and close above, actually rejected. So I think we'll see dollar Swiss pushing towards the 84 level again. Dollar index, well, retraced almost 50%. There is potential up to 61.8 at 102.25. Let's see. It also depends what your dollar will do. If it starts sliding lower here, well, then we can see another push towards the 104. So it could run out of steam. You see the 21 moving average. Interestingly enough, it's giving some overhead resistance. We saw it here with the same also, that it gives somewhat hits resistance, but it can still spike higher. Moving on to gold, and keep an eye on 24.70. I think it will be taken out here later today. We are now again below 24.84, which was this kind of pivot point or support. But 24.70 and downtrend will be confirmed. We had divergence, as you can see, RSI values declining here. I think we could see it push lower to test the lower rising trend line and the 55 moving average. So it's hard to give a specific level, but we can add Fibonacci from the lows there and up to around there, the peak, and say okay, down to 24.21, which is the 61.8, seems likely to dip below. So I wouldn't be surprised that it actually dips below the lower rising trend line. It really needs to keep itself above 24.84 for any chance of pushing higher, but for now it doesn't really look much like that. And the silver that was kind of front running, you see, dipped yesterday below the 61.8. Now it's having another go, so I think we could see it dip down to the 786 retracement and 27.25, possibly all the way down to test the lows here from August at 26.44. So quite heavy at the moment. We also see 55 moving average sliding below the 100 moving average, so it doesn't look too good for silver. And also if it does close below 40, then I think we'll see the selling pressure continuing in silver. Copper, well, also quite heavy after taking out for 12.70. likely to test the upper falling trend line there. If it does break below, well, we could see a push down to the 390 again, this area here, and that could play out if we have the RSI back below 40, which I think actually will occur, and also below the trend line there. So really quite heavy at the moment. And also if we add a Fibonacci to this, and you can do this yourself so you have an idea what's going on, we are below the 61.8 retracement. I think we'll test 400 fairly shortly. On the crude oil, and now it actually is materializing. It is playing out what we talked about for quite some time, and you can also read the written analysis I did on the 21st of August. Below the lower rising trend line in this triangle-like pattern here on the weekly, below the support at 71.67. There's not much stopping it. There's a little bit of support here, and let's just add that one at this low here at 67.70, but I think we'll see a push down to this region here around 65, 64 level on the WTI. On Brent crude oil, and again this is a weekly chart, we see lower low, lower high, lower low, a little bit lower high, and then a sell-off below 75, and support at just around $70. And we can see that it is currently testing this very close to at least testing this minor support there at 72.30. So quite heavy on the crude oil, and I think it will continue a little bit. You can also see the RSI in a bearish territory on negative sentiment. Finally, on the US 10-year Treasury yields, and let's go back to let's have a look at the weekly chart. You can see how it's dancing around the 378, 79. That is really a key support, and the next one is 363, 364. Zooming in on the daily, you can see what actually is playing out. It was rejected at the 61.8 retracement, and now it's testing again 379. If it takes out 375, then expect a drop down to around 364 area, and at least the lower falling trend line right there. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.